everyone, my name is Rachel. Welcome back to my channel. Long time no see. I have not filmed a video in maybe 3 weeks, but today I am very excited about today's video. I am here to do a collab with one of my best bookish friends, Samantha from Books with Samantha. She recently asked me to collab with her to do a video all about romance novellas that are perfect for the Halloween season. So this is a list of novellas that I have read and loved and highly recommend that either center around Halloween or are paranormal romances or are just perfect for the fall season in general. This video is perfectly timed because we have another round of novella-thon that is happening next week. That is October 16th through the 22nd. This is a readathon that is hosted by myself, Samantha, Ava, and Tiffany, where we just read all the novellas. You don't have to read romance novellas, but the four of us just tend to read romance novellas because we're all romance readers. So if you are planning on participating in this readathon with us, definitely check out the rest of this video to get some recommendations, and definitely go ahead and watch Samantha's video. We are posting these at the exact same time so that you can get all of the recommendations for Novellathon. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get on to these recommendations. So the first ones I want to bring up are by Chase Verity. The first one is called Deal with a Demon. This is a romance that centers around a demon and a human woman. She's actually a single mother, and she comes across this QR code, and when she scans it, this demon shows up, our hero, and he just wants to help her with whatever she needs help with. And because she is struggling to make ends meet and also raise her children, he kind of acts as a house husband while she is working, I think, numerous jobs, and they end up falling in love along the way. These romances just feel so cozy, but they have great paranormal elements to them as well. The second one in this series that I also really enjoyed was The Demon Next Door. From what I remember, both the hero and heroine are single parents. The hero is a demon, of course, and he is a single father. And this one was also just adorable, but it had the right amount of sexiness as well. So next I have some dinosaur shifter romances. These are by Masmatics. So this is the Relic series. The first book is called Smash and Grab, and the second book is Sink or Swim. Highly recommend both of these books, but I just think that shifter romances are perfect for the Halloween season. And these are unique because not only are they dinosaur shifter romances, they are also dinosaur shifter romances, and they are action-packed, but they have lots of romance and steamy scenes and all of the things that you could want from a paranormal romance. These are just fantastic. I definitely need to continue on with the series because I think there's maybe 2 more books in the series that I haven't read, but also the audiobooks were pretty easy for me to find. I found them on Hoopla, and I'm sure that they are readily available through Audible and other apps such as that, but the audiobooks are really well done, so I would highly recommend them. Next we have Blood Moon by Jillian Graves. This is the perfect paranormal romance to read for Halloween because we have a witch and we have a vampire, and they have a one-night stand. They have this crazy connection with one another. Also, the heroine, who is a witch, she's plus-sized, as you can tell from the cover. And they have this hot one-night stand only for the heroine to realize that this vampire, the hero, is in fact her business rival. And so it's a bit of an enemies to lovers situation, and this is just delicious, so steamy, just the perfect vampire witch romance. Love it. So next up we have Offerings by Ashley Mack. This one is not paranormal, however it is Gothic and dark academia, which are equally amazing vibes for Halloween season. So this one is a brother's best friend romance. Basically, this takes place at a college. The hero is in this secret society, and there's this game that happens every year where I think one of them ends up being the target, and everyone else in the secret society is after them for an entire night. And so the person who's the target has to just avoid getting caught the whole night. And so I think the hero and the heroine end up both being the target somehow. I don't really remember. It doesn't really matter. What does matter is that this is a really great friends to lovers romance. We've got mutual pining. We have an endlessly devoted hero who also has a filthy mouth. Love that. And it was just a fun time because there's that bit of suspense with the game that's going on. And this is also the first novella in a series of novellas, so I'm very interested to check out the other 2 novellas that are out in this series so far. Next up, we have Riding the Headless Horseman by Molly Likovich. I think that this title and this cover tells you everything you need to know. It is a novella about, I think the heroine is a witch, or the townspeople think that she's a witch or something, and she ends up having a romance with the Headless Horseman himself, and it's a fun time. It's like 50 pages. You'll fly through it. And speaking of really short novellas that are just a fun time, we have Hayseed by Vera Valentine. This is a romance between a human and a scarecrow. Our hero is like a scarecrow shifter, kind of. Yeah. And this is just an interesting plot because the heroine has a boyfriend, but he's the worst. And so then the scarecrow shifter dude comes to life. He's immediately in love with the heroine. And so he sees the heroine being abused by her boyfriend. And so he punishes the boyfriend in a very interesting way. And this is just a fun and very unique monster romance. If you would consider a scarecrow shifter to be a monster, which I guess they are, I don't know. But I gave this 5 stars. It was fun. It's like 50 pages. Like I said, you'll fly through it and you'll have a good time. Next, I have to mention the Mead Mishap series by Kimberly Lemming. These novellas are definitely a bit longer, maybe closer to 200 pages if I'm not mistaken. And these are high fantasy romances, but they just have this fall autumnal vibe to them. Plus there's monsters and creatures involved, so there you've got that paranormal element and the magic and all of that. So I just think these are the perfect novellas to read for this time of year. Kimberly Lemming has a fantastic sense of humor. You will laugh out loud reading these novellas. At least I did. And it takes a lot for me to actually like laugh out loud at something when I'm reading it. Yeah, these are just fantastic romances. Definitely a very unique series as well. Another novella that I would recommend by Kimberly Lemming is completely different from her Mead Mishaps. This is more of just a paranormal romance, a very short novella. I think it's more of like a short story because I think it was like 30 pages. This is 2 Scoops of Hellfire. We have our main character. This is taking place during the COVID lockdown, and she decides to learn how to bake during lockdown, and she ends up summoning a demon somehow while she's making this recipe. And it's just a very quick read, very sexy as well, and also hilarious, of course, because it is Kimberly Lemming. Next up, we have something quite different. This is more of a Gothic historical romance. This is the Ivy Leavold series by Sierra Simone. You could essentially think of this series as a very sexy Jane Eyre retelling. I mean, it is Sierra Simone. We know that she brings the steam and the spice for sure. But this is a series of 3 novellas, and they're like 150 pages each. And this series just has the perfect Gothic vibe. It has those Jane Eyre vibes. You've got some, you know, a lot of morally gray characters. You've got some dark things happening. The relationship between the hero and the heroine is just like so addictive to read about, but it can be toxic at times. There's also some really fun, steamy scenes throughout this series. I remember there was a threesome at some point. There was an orgy scene. You know, it's Sierra Simone. You're gonna get a lot in this series for sure, but I also just felt like it was just so beautifully written, and I really enjoy Sierra Simone's historical romances, so would highly recommend this if you're looking for more of a Gothic romance for sure. Next we have The Witch's Wolves by Ellie Mae McGregor. This is more of a cozy poly romance between our heroine, who is a witch, and then these 2 wolf men. I guess that's how you describe them, but basically the heroine is on the run from the local village. There is a mob that is happening and they want to murder her, and so she runs into this cabin where these 2 wolf men live, and they fall for each other, and it's just a very cozy cottagecore vibe. That was a lot of alliteration now that I'm thinking about it, but yeah, just a really sweet and sexy romance for sure. Next up, we have a very short story. This is An Evening at Crystal Lake by Rachel J. Thompson. I don't know that I would even consider this a romance. Like, there's a romance in it, but it's really just like a sexy short story that has really no resolution, which kind of makes me sad because I wish that there would have been more to it. So this is just a fun story. We have a husband and wife who decide to go to this like cabin in the woods where there's also a lake, and they want to do this like sexy horror photo shoot basically, where the wife is like the final girl at the end of a horror movie, and they hire this guy to be dressed up as like Jason Voorhees, like with the mask. Is that the right name? Jason? Yes? I don't know my horror movies that well. But sexy times ensue between this guy who is dressed up as Jason and the wife, and the husband is just happily taking photos of all of this. And yeah, I wish that this was longer because it was like 25 pages, but I still think that it's worth the read and a fun time for sure. Next we have Bewitching the Boss by Jessa Kane. Y'all, every time I think of Jessa Kane now, I get really sad because she recently announced that she has released her final book. Basically, piracy has become a huge problem for her, which is just devastating to me that it has become such a huge problem for her. And so yeah, she's not writing anymore, at least not for the time being, according to her newsletter. But anyways, this is a fantastic Halloween themed romance from her. If you don't know, Jessa Kane writes a lot of like bonkers, like over the top, unhinged romances. I think this one's a little bit more tame though, mainly because the hero is a virgin hero. He's nerdy, but he is a billionaire, whereas the heroine is actually the experienced one, which is definitely not the norm for Jessa Kane. She usually writes like virgin heroines and experienced heroes. But anyways, the heroine has a lot going on. Basically, she blames herself for the death of the hero's sister, I think. Yeah. But also at the same time, she's a party planner. She's planning a Halloween party for the hero's company. He runs a tech company and they just can't help but fall for each other. There was a lot of praise and degradation kink in this, and it definitely has heavier themes, but it was also a fun time. Highly, highly recommend it. I have a few more recommendations. Scream for Us by Molly Doyle. This is the first novella in a series, though I have not read the rest of the series, and I don't think that you necessarily need to. I feel like that the story in this novella could be self-contained. But this is about our heroine Quinn, and she's at this Halloween party, and she meets these three men that are dressed as different horror movie villains. I think we've got the villain from Scream, you know, like the ghost face. You've probably got like Jason and Freddy. I don't remember, but anyways, the four of them meet and they have this instant connection. And then there's this whole plot involving people that used to bully Quinn in high school, and how these three guys get like vigilante justice for her, but it's very twisted. And it was just a really fun time. I really enjoyed it. Very sexy for sure, but perfect for Halloween season. Then we have Sanguine by Sierra Simone once again. This one is an MM vampire romance. This one was very short, sweet, and sexy. I liked that one of the heroes was a vampire hunter and then the other one was a vampire, and the vampire hero was very funny and sarcastic, and the way that he got under the vampire hunter's skin, it was just really great. Definitely had a kind of unique vibe to it. I don't think I've read anything quite like it before, but of course would highly recommend it. Last but not least, we have The Dare, which is also the first in a series though. Just like with Scream for Us, I have not read the rest of the series, but I really, really want to at some point. So this one, we have our hero and heroine. They went to high school together. The heroine used to bully the hero. They had an interesting relationship going on in high school, for sure. And so they reunite years after high school at this Halloween party. The heroine loses a game of beer pong, I think. And so now she's basically the hero's sex slave for the rest of the night. And then there's these other guys that show up that are the hero's friends, and they are dressed as clowns. And a lot of people don't like this novella because there's clowns involved, but in my opinion, they were sexy clowns. So that's different. Definitely very unique for sure. A lot of interesting kinks involved, but I definitely need to continue on with the series because I've heard amazing things about it. I think this author wrote like 2 full-length novels after this novella. And so that's the whole series. Last but certainly not least, we have one of my favorite novellas of all time. This is Haven by Claire Kent. This is not Halloween themed. However, it is a darker story that I think is perfect to read during the fall. So this takes place after this apocalyptic event happens and society and civilization as we know it is no more. So we have Faith and Jackson, our hero and heroine. They have known each other for quite a few years. They are now running this farm sanctuary together after this apocalyptic event. And they have this very strong physical connection to each other, but because Jackson is just so like broody and grumpy, he doesn't talk much, and so Faith has no idea what he's actually feeling, but meanwhile he's been in love with her for years. Something that I adore from the blurb, I'm just gonna read this little paragraph. It says, "He's not my friend or my boyfriend, but sometimes I go to his room after the sun goes down. I need to. Not for sweet words or soft kisses, but because his arms, like the flickering light of that one candle, are the only things that can hold back the night." So that just gives you a little bit of an idea of the connection that these two characters have. And I love that Jackson, because he's so quiet and broody, he uses acts of service to show his feelings for Faith. And it's amazing. This made me cry. A lot of Claire Kent's books make me cry. They are just so beautiful. And I love the way that she writes her grumpy yet sweet heroes. So that's going to be it for this romance novellas recommendations video. I hope that you guys got some good recs from this, and I'm really excited to watch Samantha's video, so you guys should as well, like I said earlier. Also, leave a like and subscribe, and I thank you so much in advance if you do. I would also love it if you would leave a comment telling me if you're gonna participate in this round of Novellathon, or just tell me about some of your favorite paranormal or Halloween themed romance novellas. And with all that being said, that is it for this video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!